Radio Richard.
Hello, Richard. Nice to see you again.
Well, it was so
Uh,
wonderful to see you the last time. I can't imagine how great it's going to be this time.
well, this time we're going to be talking about your relationship with the Pet Shop Boys, and
Indeed.
particularly your single with them, Left to My Own Devices, which feels like a really appropriate title these days with everybody on their devices the whole time. Um,
Yes, indeed.
so, why did Trevor Horn call you for Left to My Own Devices?
Well, this was my first time working with the Pet Shop Boys, Neil Tennant and Chris Lowe.
Okay.
And Trevor, of course, I had done other stuff for him.
Hmm.
And he just thought I was the right guy to do this. I mean, again, maybe Ann Dudley was sick or something. I'm very, very grateful to her doctor for being terrible at his job. Because whenever she got a cold, I seemed to get some work. But anyway, he called me up and he said, I've got something that's, I think, down your alley, and it's got a big introduction section where we want you to
Mm.
write something over it. And I listened to the lyric, and of course, the first thing about the Pet Shop Boys is that the lyrics are really superb, and they always
Oh
have
yeah.
been. And Neil
Hmm.
Tennant is a very, very clever person, well educated, really knows what he's talking about, and he expresses himself very, very well. And
Hmm.
he and Chris conceptualized this whole thing of what they do with the Pet Shop Boys very in a very interesting way, because there was always an intellectual um, attitude towards everything that they did, as well as the somewhat visceral Euro disco beat that everything has, which appeals to
Hmm.
their core audience of tight jeaned, white t-shirt, mustachioed men who absolutely love their music. And I must say also many, many women. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm in touch with some of their biggest human female fans, and
Yeah.
and I must say they just adore these guys, and they adore the records. So it's not just the gay male population that love their records, but
Mm.
everybody on that scene. And so
Yeah.
Neil and Chris understood that, and especially Neil. And I have to also say that my relationships with the guys, um, I really didn't see very much of Chris at all. He would sometimes drop into the studio for a few minutes and smile and look around and leave. Because I don't know why, but maybe he was bored by what I was doing, or maybe he just thought, this is cool. I'm not needed. I can go out and have fun. So I mainly dealt with Neil, uh,
Hmm.
and it was a great pleasure because he was very articulate about what he wanted. Now on this one, I of course Trevor was producing. So what Trevor told me was that he wanted the whole introduction was very dark, and he wanted it
Yeah.
to be like a Russian movie, you know. So
I see.
so and literally for about a minute and a half, there was nothing there except for these
Yeah.
chords. And so I thought,
Well.
okay, fine. That is a tabla rasa. This is, a blank slate for me to go crazy
Yeah.
on. And
And you,
that's
and you,
what,
and you did. I love what you've done. I mean, wow.
yeah.
What a way to start a track as well with like that
Yeah,
energy. It's brilliant. It's so good.
it was great fun. And I just, it was the first thing that occurred to me. And as an arranger, I often take the attitude that the first idea that pops into your head is probably the best, because
Mm.
you're reacting just purely musically to the whole thing before you
Mm.
sit down and start taking notes and all of that stuff. Before the technical kicks in, you have to go with something which will always be real, which is your emotional, visceral reaction to it. What emotion are we trying to get across to the audience, to the listener? And so that was it. And so I got this kind of Russian vibe, and
Mm.
that's what we did. And I must say, the recording of it was very easy. Um, everything that was done on it. I can't remember exactly, but it was not a huge orchestra, but there were some very nice woodwinds in there going, beep, 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 and they were kind of echoing some of the synthesizer sounds that were going on. And of course, the French horn took its toll later on, and of course, that's a very heroic, powerful thing. So you can write all kinds of overblown stuff. And so that was fun to do, but really that was it. And I can't claim any more involvement than going in and giving it some, Russian borscht and and hoping that would do the trick.
Well, it obviously did, because then you continued to work with them for so many more years.
Yes, indeed.
And so had so many different records with them. What was the next stage after that?
Well, the next thing that I was called for was Go West, which was another huge hit.
Oh,
and of course, this was a cover version of the Village People hit, and they had to think of some other way of doing it. And so they had done a track which was, again, the Pet Shop Boys classic Euro disco, get down with your bad self on the dance floor with the glitter ball. They had already done that, and then they said, we want you to take it to the next level. Now, the thing is, I had a whole idea to do this with a real orchestra, but for some reason, and I'm not sure what the reason is, they didn't have the budget for this record for real strings, which is outrageous for a group who had already had a lot of success by the time we did Go West. But they just didn't have the budget for it. So I had to do that by programming, or I had written some synth strings and I manifested them with synths. But of course I was not happy with the whole thing, having to do it that way. But they didn't have any choice. That's all what they had a budget for. So I used a real brass section, and there's a kind of a jazzy brass section going on in there, and that was fun. And then of course we also used a lot of singers. So they wanted to have a male choir of Broadway singers. Sort of doing Go West, but they wanted it to sound like there is nothing like a dame and nothing in this world. They wanted it to sound really macho and over the top. So I said, well, okay, the best way to do that is to go to New York and do it. And they said, fine, we'll do that. So it was tremendous. We booked about, I think it was probably, when I think about it, it was probably about 18 men from various Broadway shows. And they flew me to New York. It was quite glamorous. They seemed to have the money to fly me to New York and sing in New York, but they didn't have the money for real strings. I don't get it. But anyway.
They blew the budget on the male voice choir, obviously.
Well,
that was the priority.
And that was really fun because the guys were great. And of course, they were, shall we say, of a certain ilk. And they certainly, all the jokes were flying. And in fact, I actually did something, and it wasn't on purpose, although they said it was, because I had my score there in front of me, and I usually have a pencil to mark if there are any special places of interest. So of course I dropped my pencil, and I had to bend over to pick it up, and they said, "Oh, somebody's showing off." So, but it was great fun.
That's very funny.
It wasn't planned.
Sometimes it's the best things that are not planned. They're spontaneous. So you went and conducted them as well as
yes.
So amazing.
Yeah, they took me over to do that, and it was great fun, and I'm so glad to have done it. I wish I could have remembered all the names of the guys who were doing it, because it was they were obviously the cream of the Broadway stage, and they were very good. I mean, they really knew what to do, and also the arrangement that I had done for the choir was not exactly what I'd call totally easy because I
Right.
did.
Oh, well, I know. I've sung your arrangements before, Richard.
Oh,
I know.
yes, you have. So you know what's happening. But even in that context, I had some interesting voicings that they made work very well. So that was great fun. And then afterwards, because it was such a hit, we did it at the Brit Awards of that
Oh,
year.
amazing.
And except that for the Brit Awards, we couldn't obviously use those guys. So they decided, let's use Welsh miners, because the Welsh mining choirs are very famous. And so my very good friend and fixer, Graham Perkins, booked two, not just one, two Welsh choirs. We had
they're already big enough, aren't they?
Well, it was 150 singers each. So we had 300 singers on stage at the Brit Awards. If you go and look at the videos, there are videos on YouTube, and before we did it, we recorded, because the recording side of it was going to be completely crazy to do this live. So what we did was we took the singers to a studio near where the Brit Awards were being held, and we recorded them first, and then they had the backing track that they were going to use, and they put that on there. And then when we got to the stage, they sung live, but we were using the backing track.
Right.
We were using what we had recorded before. But I was recording in a miner's helmet. Actually, I do have the picture here. Hold on.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
You won't see it very well, but here it is. Okay, so there are Chris and Neil, and there I am on the side of the stage here in a miner's helmet.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
And there are all those miners. So what fun, huh?
So that was what, 1990?
I'm gonna guess 94, maybe, or yes, sometime around then, 92, 93, 94. I can't remember exactly off the top of whatever head I have left. But that was great fun, and I guess Neil always felt that I was the guy to go to if he wanted to do something a little bit more sort of harking back to something else. And Radio Richard, share, subscribe, even donate. Then we did all kinds of stuff. We did some Broadway-ish type things. We did a song, Noel Coward song. They were going to do a Noel Coward musical, but which never quite came off. But they did two songs, If Love Were All, which is a beautiful song.
I love that one. Yeah,
well, you should hear one. I'll send you the version I did with the Pet Shop Boys.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it's on YouTube. And and another song called Tall Thin Men, which was a kind of very, very Broadway type of thing that we did with a real ensemble and of course Neil singing. And
amazing.
Then they asked me, because when they knew about Banzilla, Neil, we were talking about this song, Can You Forgive Her?
Right.
And Can You Forgive Her, I really loved that song, and I thought it was really a great lyric. And we were talking about in the studio one day about how good it would sound as a jazz tune. And so Neil said, yeah, I'd love to do it like that. And I was just coming up to a concert at the Jazz Cafe with Banzilla. And Richard Derbyshire from Living in a Box came to sing at it. And there was a possibility at the time that possibly Corinne from Swing Out Sister would come and do it. But I said, look, if you'll come and sing at my gig, I'll do this arrangement for you for nothing. So he said, great, I'll do it. What fun. And sadly, up to the day of the concert, we were waiting for him to show up for the rehearsal before the gig. And sadly, I got a call from, he called Graham Perkins, who was the fixer on it, and said, sorry, I can't make it. I've got laryngitis. I can't do it. So that was unfortunate. So actually he got an arrangement for free. but but it was still great to do, and I produced a really great track. If anybody gets a chance to hear the swing version of "Can You Forgive Her," it is killing. And Nigel Hitchcock takes a solo on it, which is absolutely classic. I mean, it's just amazing. One of the greatest saxophone solos ever recorded of all time. And for Nigel Hitchcock, he does that every afternoon. But nevertheless, this is a pretty amazing thing, and everybody played great, and it was wonderful.
I'm going to look it up. Is it on Spotify and everything like that?
I'm sure it'll be somewhere. Can You Forgive Her? Just go for swing version or something like that. It's certainly it's on YouTube. And then we later did go west yet again with the London Gay Men's Choir.
Oh, amazing! Which
was all kinds of fun. I must say they didn't quite have the sense of humor as the guys on the Broadway guys. But there you are. It was just a really great experience to do that. Again, conducting the choir live, and that was live. So I've had a lot of fun doing stuff like that. I also did the Pet Shop Boys overture to Performance. They did a concert tour of the world in 1991, where they toured with members of the Royal Ballet.
Wow.
Incredible, staged by, I'm trying to remember who actually did it, but it was staged by some famous Royal Ballet director, and was an amazing show. If you ever get a chance to look at there's a video of it. Costumes, dancing, stunning. And so they called me up and they said, "Hey, Rich, we're doing this thing and we want an overture, and we want it to be 8 songs of ours, but arranged into an overture for a big orchestra." And I said,
"Have fun."
They said, "What have you got?" So we ended up doing it with an 85-piece orchestra. Again, it was Bandzilla within a much larger orchestra, and it was huge. And actually on that one, we had the famous bass player Nathan East come and play bass. So that was kind of fun.
Wow.
And
very cool.
So it was a very cool thing. And again, you can hear that thing. But I had arranged this thing thinking, wow, I've got these wonderful dancers. So I arranged it thinking of all those
dancing,
beautiful costumes and amazing creativity and wonderfulness. So I remember I went to the gig and I sat down on my seat and I was so ready for this big experience. And a spotlight came down on the stage just as I had my Hollywood drum roll going, And it was a spotlight on a red velvet couch. And I thought, what the? I literally thought, what the? And the spotlight opened up, and there it was. And the whole 8.5-minute overture played, and nothing happened.
Oh, you mean it was just,
that was it? So after the gig, I went backstage to talk to the guys, and I said to Neil, what happened with the overture? I said I was expecting dancers, and he said, no, we thought about that, but this is better. And I said, well, why is it better? He said, I'll tell you why. He said at the beginning of these gigs, we're playing. It was at Wembley, it was inside Wembley, but still Wembley. And he said, we're doing this world tour with all these. There's going to be thousands of people at the concert. And what happens at the beginning of the concert is people are noisy. They're eating their crisps. They're doing all this stuff. He said, what happened when it hits those timpani and the spotlight comes down, everybody shuts up. It's like an event. What's going to happen?
Yeah. Said, it's the kind of anticipation.
The anticipation. What's going to happen? And they shut up throughout the whole 8.5 minutes listening to your great music.
That's true, actually.
And he was absolutely right. Every single concert was the same, and it shut the audience up, and it got them in the right frame of mind to hear the rest of the show. So, that Neil Tennant, he's not stupid.
Clearly not.
So,
well, hey.
it was it's always been great working with them. I also did the proms with them when they did that.
Oh,
They
fantastic.
played the overture again at the proms,
Oh, amazing.
which was great fun, except that I wasn't able to come and conduct it, which was a sadness for me, but that was that. And then they also did a BBC concert orchestra thing where they asked me to arrange a concert orchestra version of their song, I Wouldn't Normally Do This Kind of Thing. And
Great name as well.
and yeah, which is also a great song. And we did it with a vocalist who I was working with at the time called Kate Winter, great singer.
Oh,
And so that was great fun to do. So I've had a tremendous creatively fun time with doing PSB stuff. And it's been certainly a high point of my career to be working with people who have such kind of open-minded creative vision. The combination works well because, doing crazy stuff is my second nature, so it works well.
And you given an orchestra to play around with, the choir, all these different outlets for that creative energy. So that's amazing, and that spanned now over 2 decades collaboration, which is
I guess it does. Yeah. From that first one, 1988, 98 to absolutely more than that. Yeah, that's incredible.
I mean, I don't know if you're allowed to say or if you know, but are there any plans for anything in the future?
Well, I don't have any plans in the future to work with them, but if they called, the one word I would say would be yes.
Yeah.
Because it's always fun. It's always interesting. It's always something new.
I want to go and listen and watch all those things now. I didn't realize quite the breadth of all the different collaborations as well with the ballet. And, I was aware that they were doing orchestral stuff with you, but I wasn't sure the full extent.
And they also wrote a musical. They've done all kinds of really interesting things, and I think they've got a new musical coming, or they've already just done it. So they don't just sit around. They have a lot of fun and do some creative stuff. So they deserve it all. Next week, I think maybe we'll talk about Breakout.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Looking forward to it.
All right.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Radio Richard. Like, share, subscribe, even donate. Radio Richard. Be informed. Be amazed. Be inspired.